راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية زاد،
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه. Remember, the definition of purity: رفع الحدث وإزالة الخبث, uplifting the major and minor ritual impurity and removing the physical impurity. So what is meant by physical impurity? It's something that we can see, we can smell, we can touch. This is what is meant by physical impurity, and it refers to every dirty substance that the lawgiver has instructed us to avoid. So it's not oil or grease that is filthy that we don't like. No, it is what the Sharia, the lawgiver, has told us that this is to be avoided, such as urine, such as feces, such as the blood of some animals, the blood of manses, and the likes. These are totally impure. And such impurity is divided into two types: accidental impurity and inherent impurity. So what is meant by accidental impurity? This is what we all know of to be impure: a pure piece of ground, a carpet, my clothes, my body. These are all pure. When something comes and tarnishes it and makes it soiled or impure. So if I get a drop of urine on my hand, on my clothes, on the spot that I'm praying on, in this case, this area becomes impure. It has to be purified and cleaned. How? Whether you wash it or use any means of removing this impurity. And then we have the inherent impurity. And an inherent impurity is an impurity that cannot be purified, because it's something that is so impure that can't be purified because of its impurity of itself, such as a dog, a pig, a donkey, donkeys' droppings, the poop of dogs. These are the feces of human beings and the likes. These are impurities that are impure and will always be impure. It has to be removed totally. And there is nothing you can do about it. If you wash a dog with ocean or seawater forever, it will remain impure, no matter how many times you wash it or shampoo it or clean it. So how do we purify an area that has impurities on it? Well, there is 3 categories of impurities: major, medium, and rare. And has nothing to do with steaks, where it goes well done, medium, and rare. But these are the 3 categories of impurity. The toughest and hardest of them all is the dog's saliva. And this has to be washed 7 times. One of them with soil or sand, with earth. This is when a dog licks a utensil, whether it's a bowl or a plate or a dish or a glass that the dog drinks from, we have to wash it 7 times. One of these 7 times has to be with soil or with sand and the likes. The normal types of impurity are the ones we know. Menstruation, blood, urine, feces, and the likes. Normal najasas or impurities. The light type of najasa is the urine of a newly born male child that has not eaten solid food. As long as the child is suckling, 5 months old, 6 months old, and it's male, then the urine is taken lightly. The najasa is taken lightly in the sense that we don't have to wash it, scrub it, and squeeze it, wash it again. No, just sprinkling water over it, making the water run over it would suffice. Why male, not female? This is the Sharia that we have to abide by. So, coming back to what or how to purify the najasat, it's very simple. If it is a dog's saliva that we find in utensils, we have to wash it 7 times. What about if a pig licked it? Is the pig's saliva the same? The answer is no. This is only restricted to dogs. Any dog, whether small, big, it doesn't matter what type or species of dog it is. And why do we use soil? Because this is what the Sharia told us. This is what the Sunnah told us. Some medical reports say that the soil or the earth has this ingredient in it or substance that can kill certain microbes or germs or worms found in the dog's saliva. Either way, we don't know. We just apply the Sharia, and if there is any added value, alhamdulillah. If not, we just do what Allah tells us to do. This is part 1 of purifying such hardcore impurities. What about the rest of the impurities? Washing them once is sufficient. As long as washing it takes away this the mass of the impurity, this does the job. If once is not sufficient and the mass is still there, the impurity is still there, we wash it again. If not, then we wash it a 3rd time until it is gone. Usually urine and the likes once would suffice. What about if there is mass found for this impurity, like feces, for example? In this case, we have to remove the mass. The bulk of it, we have to remove it. Then we wash the traces of it until this succeeds in removing this filth or this impurity. Remember, there is a nomad who came to the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ and urinated in the middle of the masjid. The Prophet told them to leave him until he's through. Then he ordered them to pour a bucket of water on the spot where he urinated. So the amount of water overwhelmed the amount of impurity, and that purified it because the ground was made of pebbles and sand, and that was sufficient. And the same goes with the rest of impurities. Now, is water required to remove the impurity? The answer is, it's the best purifier, but if we can remove the impurity so that it does not exist anymore with any other means, then so be it. So you can, for example, put it under the sun for a couple of weeks so that the wind and the sun would remove it totally and purify it. It can be, we can use detergents that would purify it. And likewise, if we use dry cleaning, where they don't use water, they use chemicals, but they bring us the piece of cloth pure and clean, and there's no traces of najasa, so be it, and there's no problem in that at all. Now, what about if we come to talk about the different types of impurities, the type that are discharged from private parts? So what comes out of your private part is najis, with the exception of semen. But what about urine? It's najis. You have to wash it off. What about madhi or prostatic fluid or precum? This is also najis. It has to be washed off. What about wadi? W-A-D-I. Wadi is a discharge that usually follows when a person urinates, or in extreme cold weather, or when he carries a heavy substance, then it may be discharged. It is also impure and it's najis, and it has to be washed off. In the same fashion, we wash things with water. Once would be sufficient, and if it does not succeed in the first wash, then we wash it again until it is removed. And what if we have places that we're doubtful? Originally, doubt does not impact certainty. Everything is pure until proven otherwise. But if I'm doubtful whether there is impurity or not, I'm certain there is impurity. I'm not certain where the place is, but I'm certain there is an impurity. I have to make my level best to guess. Most likely it's here. So I should wash this area that I feel that is most likely to be the case. And what about if that I'm certain it's in that area? Then definitely it's a no-brainer. You have to wash it either way. If there is a possibility that it might be this one, 50-50%, but I'm certain that there is najasa, then washing them both to be safe rather than sorry would be the best solution. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية زاد.
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن، وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.